Dartmoor prison, isolated from the outside world by walls of granite.
They say you could get out of here by merely telling what you know.
You may or may not be another Scotland Yard bloke. But I'll give you the same answer I gave the others. I still have 2 years, 8 months, and 6 days left in which to make musical boxes. That'll be sold at auction for the benefit of this delightful sanctuary. And I intend to serve them.
Move along.
And now we come to the next object on our list, or I should say objects, because there are 3 of them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these can be bought together or separately. Now, these beautiful little musical boxes only arrived this morning, and I didn't intend to put them on the auction block until later, but I'm going to sell them now. So, good friends, as our old pal Mark Antony used to say, lend me your ears. And what do you hear? Right. The beautiful tinkle-tinkle of a musical box. What a lovely trinket. What a beautiful gift. Created and made by loving hands. A thing of beauty and utility. Now, who's going to start with £5? It's a bargain at £5. Do I see any hands? If there's a connoisseur in the house, we'll go £3 for it. £2. £1. 10 shillings. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 shillings is offered for a musical box you couldn't buy anywhere in London for less than £5. It'd be stealing to let it go for 10 shillings. Like taking milk from a baby. All right, we start for 10 shillings. 10 shillings, 10 shillings is offered, 10 shillings is offered, 10 shillings is offered. Then anybody give me £1? Will you give me £1? Oh, £1, will you give me £1? £1 is offered, £1 is offered, ladies and gentlemen, £1 is offered. It's against you, sir. Will you go to £2? We got a £2, sir. £2. £2 is offered. £2 is offered. Going once, twice, third and the last call. Sold to the gentleman for £2.
Sorry, my dear.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, comes the opportunity to purchase an exact duplicate of the beautiful little musical box just bought by this gentleman for the ridiculous low price of £2. Now, it's exactly the same. Exactly the same. Made with the same hands. You hear that? Isn't that lovely? That tinkle, 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 tinkle. Sounds like Bow Bells to me, you know, with little angels pulling on the ropes, eh? Who'll give me £2 for it? Who's starting with £2? Will anybody start with £2? Oh, come, ladies and gentlemen. You know, from your enthusiasm, we might all be in Scotland instead of London.
Please buy it for me, Daddy.
£2, certainly not. We all might be in Scotland. Besides, I don't like his manner.
£1, 10 shillings. £1. £1 is ours. £1 is offered. £1 is offered, going £1. Any advance? Going once, going twice, the third and the last call. Sold to the lady for £1.
Smart bidding, my dear.
Thank you.
We come to the third and last of these beautiful little musical boxes. Exactly the same. Tinkle, tinkle. Isn't that lovely? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't bring you here to gull you and swindle you. This is the exact replica of those 2 I just sold before.
We're closed.
But this is extremely important.
Come in, sir, come in.
I'm sorry to disturb you, but I was unfortunately delayed from arriving in time to bid on certain articles which I was rather anxious to obtain.
Or perhaps they weren't sold, sir. We are carrying several things over. What might the articles be, sir?
3 identical musical boxes, about so large.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but they were sold. Pity you weren't here to bid on them. They didn't bring anything like the real value.
I'm most anxious to obtain them. I wonder if your records would show who the purchasers were.
Oh, we don't usually give out that information, sir.
For certain, shall we say, sentimental reasons, I'm most anxious to get in touch with the purchasers. I'd be willing to pay, shall we say, £5.
Well, for certain sentimental reasons, sir, we'd be very happy to oblige. Alfred, today's sale. The 3 musical boxes.
Musical boxes, oh. Ah, here we are.
The first purchase for £2 from Mr. Julian Emery, 52 Portman Square. Write these addresses down, Herbert.
Yes, sir.
Second didn't leave any name.
Well, how unfortunate.
I think she's a dealer. You see, they don't like us to know where the things are going.
On account of the profits.
You say the second purchaser was a woman. Can you give me a description of her?
Oh, she was a young woman. Fairly tall, slender. Had a light complexion and dark hair, and she was wearing
A grey suit, don't you remember?
That's right.
She probably runs a gift shop. She paid £1.
You say she comes here fairly frequently?
No, I didn't say so. But she does, sir. Like as not, she'll come in on Thursday. We have sales on Mondays and Thursdays.
Oh. And the third box?
The third? Oh, Mr. William Kilgore, 143B Hampton Way.
For 10 shillings.
Quite a drop from £2.
Mr. Kilgore was a Scotchman.
Oh. Thank you. You've been most helpful.
Oh, thank you, sir. And any time you're passing, dropping, we always have lovely things for sale. Our card, sir?
Thank you. I'll be back Thursday. The message reached us too late. Musical boxes are being sold. Well, let's get out of here.
Someday you'll go too far.
Reaching for a star, you fool.
Yet a fool may touch a star, Colonel Cavanaugh, if he but reach high enough.
But not possess it as you would.
The musical boxes, they're being sold. What a pity for you, my dear Colonel.
Is it my fault that the message reached us only an hour ago? Is it my fault that they were sold? You can't hold me responsible for that.
Hope for your sake you're right.
Upon you tonight at 7:45, a gentleman who desires to consult you upon a matter of the very deepest moment. Remember that letter, Holmes? It was written over 2 years ago. An interesting case, devilishly interesting. Irene Adler. But a striking-looking woman from the brief glance I had of her. Seems only yesterday. What charm. What poise, and what a mind. Sharp enough and brilliant enough to outwit the great Sherlock Holmes himself.
I take it the new issue of the Strand magazine is out, containing another of your slightly lurid tales.
Indeed.
What do you call this one?
I call it A Scandal in Bohemia. Not a bad title, eh?
If you must record my exploits, I do wish you'd put less emphasis on the melodramatic and more on the intellectual issues involved.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I do hope you've given the woman a soul. She had one, you know.
By the woman, I suppose you mean Irene Adler.
Yes. I shall always remember her as the woman.
Come in. Hi, Stinky.
That's the old boy. How are you?
How are you, old boy? I haven't seen you for years. I want you to meet my old friend Sherlock Holmes. Holmes, this is Stinky. In other words, Julian Emery.
How do you do, Mr. Emery? Watson has often spoken of you.
Oh, has he? Yes, we were at school together.
It's more years ago than I care to remember, but you didn't come in here just to remind me of that.
No, I just happened to be in the neighborhood and saw your lights burning, so I took the liberty of looking you up. Still writing your mystery stuff?
Yes, there's a new one out this week.
Good, I never miss them.
Oh, good, thanks. I say that bandage makes you look very interesting. Still poking your nose into other people's business as usual? Who hit you?
I haven't the foggiest notion. Somebody knocked me on the head in my own living room, and then proceeded to commit the most idiotic burglary you ever heard of. Fellow must have been balmy as a coot.
Balmy? Why? Come sit down, old boy.
Would you
You like a cup of tea?
Huh? Oh, all right.
I'll go and tell Mrs. Hudson about it.
Why do you say the robbery was idiotic, Mr. Emery?
Oh, simply from the fact that with about £5,000 worth of musical boxes in my living room, the thief, who I caught in the act, made off with one that isn't even worth £5.
I gather you're a collector of musical boxes.
Yes, I am indeed. Some of them very beautiful, but not the one that was stolen. The thief evidently grabbed the first thing that came to his hand when he heard me coming into the room.
Still, it's rather odd, isn't it, that having disposed of you, he didn't pick up something more valuable. Was there anything unusual about the stolen box?
No, nothing at all. No, I picked it up in the south of France, several years ago.
You say you have many valuable music boxes, and yet the thief made off with one that isn't worth £5. Sounds like rather an intriguing little problem.
Yes, well, I take it that he was just an ordinary petty thief and didn't know the value.
That is a possible explanation, and yet I venture to say that the average petty thief has a more extensive knowledge of the value of objets d'art than the average collector.
Well, anyway, that's gotten the odds theory. They didn't get very excited about it.
That's consistent anyway. I wonder if I might see your collection, Mr. Emery.
Oh, of course you could, yes. Nothing a collector likes more than showing off his trophies. When will it suit you?
No time like the present.
Good. My place is just round in Portman Square.
Shall we?
Yes, right.
Hello? Where are you going? Stinky hasn't had his tea yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going round to my place, where I'm going to give you something better than tea. Now, this one was made for Louis XV, and is one of the very few still in existence from that period. And a particularly fine specimen at that. Charming, isn't it?
Quite.
They all sound to me like a lot of mice running about on a tin roof.
I'm afraid you have no ear for music, Watson.
Give me a good old band playing a rousing march. You have all your silly little tweets. No room. This is me. Stupid thing. Singing rabbit.
What would you say offhand is the value of a box like that, Mr. Emery?
Well, it's hard to say offhand, but I think we'll bring about £500 or £600 today. It's the gem of my collection.
Yet a thief who steals an oddity like a musical box passes up one worth £500 for one of almost no value at all. Odd. Very odd. What was a stolen box like, Mr. Emery?
Oh, just a plain wooden box about so big. As a matter of fact, I have one over here almost exactly like it. I picked this up yesterday at an auction room in Knightsbridge. Paid only £2 for it. Of course, I wouldn't in the ordinary way add one like this to my collection, but the tune intrigued me. I'd never heard it before. You have a remarkable ear for music, Holmes.
Rather an unusual melody.
Sit down, Gus.
Thanks. You say you bought that box at an auction sale yesterday?
Yes, the Gaylord auction rooms in Knightsbridge. Run by old, what's his name?
Crabtree.
That's the man.
At what time was the robbery committed?
Oh, about 3 o'clock this morning.
You know, Mr. Emery, that box and the robbery might well be cause and effect, especially since you say that the stolen box outwardly resembles this one a great deal. And Scotland Yard were not particularly interested, eh?
Oh, yes, but I wouldn't blame them for that, especially as I told them I was quite unable to describe the thief, except, of course, for the fact that it was definitely a man.
All you remember is that you came in here and someone struck you on the head.
Yes, and the next thing I knew, my man was trying to revive me.
It might be wise for you to put that box away somewhere and lock it up.
Oh, I don't think that's necessary. Besides, everything's insured.
Well, at least if any further attempts at robbery are made, I'd suggest that you call the police, rather than running into any personal danger.
Oh, come, Holmes, aren't you being a bit of an alarmist?
Possibly.
Oh, Mr. Gray, old Stinky. Seems to me you are making rather a mountain out of a molehill.
Molehill is the word, old boy, and it's time you were in bed. Thanks so much for letting us see your place.
How's this? Been glad meeting you.
Holmes, I can't understand why you were so mysterious. Seems to me that petty thief explanation was the only sensible one.
Really?
I can't see how you can believe it was anything else.
I didn't say I believed it to be anything else. The petty thief theory is the obvious one, I grant you. However, it's often a mistake to accept something as true merely because it's obvious. The truth is only arrived at by the painstaking process of eliminating the untrue. We are not able to do that in this case without further data.
Rubbish, you're pulling my leg. You're trying to turn a cut and a halfpenny robbery into an international plot.
No, I'm not. I just hope that your friend Stinky is a little more cautious in the future. Just in case.
Yeah? Yeah? Julian Emery here. Who? Of course I remember you, Mrs. Courtney. Yes, you're the one bright spot at that appallingly dull affair of Lady Sansa's. Huh? Of course it isn't too late to come around. Yes, I shall be delighted to give you a drink. I tell you what, come straight up and I'll leave the door unlatched. Right, well, 15 minutes? Good. I shall be counting each moment. No, I mean that, really. Right, goodbye.
You startled me.
Did I?
Yes.
Must be the pixie in me.
I know I shouldn't have called you so late, but I was at a party just around the corner, and I remembered your invitation to see your collection of musical boxes.
My dear Mrs. Courtney, the pleasure is all the greater for being so unexpected.
My friends call me Hilda.
Thanks. Mine called me Stinky.
Stinky, how quaint. Oh, what a perfectly wonderful collection of musical boxes. You know, when you told me you had a collection, I had no idea it was so attractive.
Yes. They appeal to the ear as well as to the eye.
Oh, what a plain little one. Why, it looks just like a country cousin amid all this grandeur.
No. You mustn't underestimate the country cousin. Only last night a burglar broke in here, and with all these to choose from, went off with one very much like it.
Really?
Yes, I don't mind the loss of the box so much, but I do resent this crack on the skull.
But it makes you look so interesting.
Oh, do you think so? It's funny, that's what old Fatso said.
Fatso?
I mean, Dr. Watson. He was here this evening with a friend, Mr. Holmes. He's interested in my collection, too.
Sherlock Holmes?
Yes. Do you know him?
I've heard of him.
Yes, he seems to think I'm in some sort of danger.
What a haunting tune. It takes me right back to my childhood.
Really? You know, it's odd that you should be interested in that particular musical box.
Odd? Why?
Because Mr. Holmes is also interested in it.
You may have been more interested in the tune than in the box.
My dear, yes, that's right. I remember now. He whistled it note for note, having heard it only once.
Really? He must be a remarkable man.
Bit of an alarmist, if you ask me.
Don't you believe in warnings?
Of course not. Who'd want a box like that?
I would.
You're not serious.
Oh, but I am.
Well, you put me in a very awkward position. I'm a collector, you know. And the collector buys but never sells.
But if the price were high enough...
The price has nothing to do with it. It's the principle of the thing. Yes, well, we haven't had our drink.
No, thanks. I must be getting along.
Must you really?
I'm afraid so.
You're not walking out on me, are you?
My reputation, Stinky.
I say, you know, you are an attractive woman.
Thanks. You fool. I told you to wait outside. What did you have to kill him for? All I had to do was walk out with this.
He held you in his arms.
Don't touch him. Don't touch anything. Now get out.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry. What about me? This is murder. What about Scotland Yard? What about Sherlock Holmes? Now get out!
Did you get it? Good. Did you have any trouble with him?
Just a matter of murder.
Ah, Mr. Holmes.
Hopkins.
Thanks for coming so promptly. Inspector Lestrade suggested that I call through to you.
Mr. Emery was the client of Mr. Holmes, Inspector.
Indeed. You didn't mention that when I telephoned you, Mr. Holmes.
Well, not exactly a client, Inspector. Sergeant Thompson?
He was killed between the hours of 11 and 2 o'clock this morning, Mr. Holmes.
Must have been someone he knew, someone of whom he had no suspicion.
Poor old Stinky. It's all my fault. I should have prevented this.
Well, it's no time to start talking about that now, Doctor.
Apparently it's gone. That's the second attempt on the musical box that Emery bought at the auction sale. And this time it was successful.
But that box was only worth £2.
It was worth a man's life, Watson. I think we'd better pay a visit to Gaylord's auction room and that fellow Crabtree. Inspector, may I suggest that you make a complete search of this flat for a small, plain, musical box about that size? Thank you. Come on, Watson. You say the first box went to Mr. Julian Emery. The second to Mr. Kilgore, 143B Hampton Way. And the third to the unidentified young lady who presumably has a shop and lives near Golders Green.
That's right, Mr. Holmes.
Isn't it rather strange, Mr. Crabtree, that you should have had 3 identical musical boxes all playing the same tune? Where'd they come from?
Dartmoor Prison.
Dartmoor?
Yeah, we get a regular shipment from there every month. The inmates manufacture them. Well, they make all kinds of things, you know, pipe racks, waste paper baskets, musical boxes.
Did you happen to notice if anyone showed any particular interest during the auction in the purchasers of these 3 boxes? Oh, come now, Mr. Crabtree. This is very literally a matter of life and death.
Well, since you put it that way, Mr. Holmes, there was a gentleman came in here about an hour after closing time, and he was in an awful state, he was. He gave me £5 to tell him where the boxes had gone to. He said they had a sentimental value for him, sir.
Expensive sentiment.
Can you describe him?
He was tall, distinguished looking, and he had grey hair and a moustache. He was quite a gentleman, sir.
What was his reaction when you were unable to supply him with the address of the young lady who owned the shop?
I told him the young lady usually come back on Thursday. He said he'd come back on Thursday. Now, that's tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Crabtree. You've been very helpful. Thank you. Come along, Watson.
Where are we going now, Holmes?
To the home of Mr. Kilgore, the man who bought the 3rd box.
But hang it all, Holmes, how do you know those other 2 musical boxes are of any importance?
I don't, but I certainly have no intention of waiting until the owners are murdered to find out.
No one at home.
I hope that's the explanation.
I'll have a look through this window. Doesn't seem to be anyone there. The whole place seems deserted as far as I can see.
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Kilgore at home?
No.
When do you expect them?
Oh, in an hour or so. There's no use your hanging about. They don't buy nothing from peddlers.
Peddlers? My good woman, this is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes? Oh, go on.
Do you mind if we come in and wait? My business is rather urgent.
Well, I've got to go out and do my shopping. And I don't know if Mrs. Kilgore like any strangers nosing about.
Quite all right, I assure you.
Well, I've got to be off. You're too white in the parlor. And no smoking either. Mrs. Kilgore says it smells up the house.
Funny old girl, Holmes.
Park Lane.
Park Lane? And what would the likes of you be doing in Park Lane?
Now, don't worry about the fare, Ducky. If you know how to get to Park Lane, up it.
You know, Holmes, I've been thinking. There must have been something hidden in that box of old Stinky's. Stolen jewelry, possibly. What's up, Holmes?
Listen.
What's this, the steam in the water pipes? Watson! Great Scott! Come on, Holmes. Get on the chair here.
It's all right, my dear. There. Now, don't worry.